the hardest part was trying to convince the production office or people in the production office to move away from something that they've been used to or been using for the past century, essentially. We've been doing contracts and start packs for the film industry forever.
Welcome back to the Sustainable Act. Thank you for tuning in. Today I'm joined by Daniel Domachowski, co-founder of CircusHR, a platform for the film and TV production industry to digitalize start packs and go paperless. Daniel, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I'm super duper excited for our conversation today, not only about this program, but also about sustainability in film and like what the future is going to look like post-COVID. And yeah, why don't you start by telling us what CircusHR is and the features it offers?
So Circus started about 4 years ago when I was working as a production manager and producer out on the West Coast. I always tried to implement, sustainable technologies, more like, obviously for the sustainability aspect, but also just to streamline things. I was really frustrated with all these different aspects of production that didn't speak to each other. So it was actually making the production inefficient, and I was trying to come up with the efficiencies. And, I just wrapped my last feature film, and I had a background running a digital agency, doing a bit of design work. So I figured now is a good time to maybe just jump into it. And so we started building a digital start pack platform, which was the only sort of tool that we didn't have for the film industry. So we had tools for scheduling, budgeting, and things like that, and doing call sheets, but Start Pack was the only thing that we didn't have, and it affected 100% of the people in the industry. And it was the most frustrating thing for everybody because it was just a thing that people did not want to do on a film set over and over and over again. So what we did was designed a platform where content creators can fully customize their HR workflow, onboard their production team without using a single sheet of paper, and the crew and cast can store everything on their work profile securely and just release that to productions with the click of a button. And then productions can just store everything about their cast and crew in one place. So that's Circus right now.
That's amazing. That's so incredible. And I remember watching the promo video on your website, and it's like, I loved it.
It's the Start Packs ones?
Yeah, 2 Start Packs.
The commercial? Yeah.
No,
Scooter,
it's so.
do you know Scooter Corkle?
Sorry?
Do you know Scooter Corkle?
I've heard of him.
Okay, he directed that.
Oh, okay.
Spot. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, no, it was so
fun.
creative, and it was fun, but also just very informative in a way, in an artistic way. And I had the pleasure of using Circus for a short film I was producing.
Oh,
And
cool.
I loved seeing just how visually appealing it was. And it's not just your standard old a database, but it's very visually appealing and easy to navigate. So there seemed to be a lot of attention to detail when it came to the design of this program. What was the process going into that and your vision when you were designing?
Yeah, I mean, Circus went through a lot of iterations. Like I said, I'm a designer, so I care deeply about good UI and UX. And for those that don't know what that means user experience and user interface design. I knew that for the common denominator, we needed to have it as simple as possible so that the young PA just getting in the industry all the way from the older Teamster driver can utilize the platform with ease. So when we were designing Circus, we made sure we thought about that, and we kept iterating and iterating to make it easier and more guided, so that it's really, really simple for anyone to onboard.
Nice. And when you started this company, what were some of the challenges that you faced and continue to face as being somebody that's promoting this new way of doing something that people have been so used to, start packs? It's so common for us to have start packs and paperwork, and just being that sustainability mind-driven company.
I think the hardest part was trying to convince the production office or people in the production office to move away from something that they've been used to or been using for the past century, essentially. We've been doing contracts and start packs for the film industry forever, and to get people to shift from, one sort of ideology of doing things to a completely new digital way is sometimes very difficult, especially, as I mentioned earlier, we're constantly working in it's one of the most fastest paced environments, right? So when you're greenlit on a production, it's go, right? You don't have, you implement everything that you're familiar with as quickly as possible, and you remove as many obstacles because it's just all about just making your days and making the budget. It has been difficult getting people to just take a moment and just give Circus a chance to implement on their production, right? Because, as I said, things go really, really quickly, and you don't want to implement a brand new way of doing things because if something does go wrong, understandably, it could affect the production. So, I mean, that's been a challenge. In the beginning, we certainly had challenges of getting partners on board, like just having the unions trust us, which they do now, thankfully, and just having the industry trust us was a big thing. And obviously, we've proven ourselves since we've been around for 4 years, and we've done quite a few productions across the country. So that's been a challenge. And what else? I mean, building technology is really, really complicated. I mean, Circus is only simple because there's a lot going on in the background, right? We got feedback from so many, like thousands and thousands of crew across the country, and made it better and better. But it's really complicated in the back end to be able to provide a platform that's completely customizable per province across the country. So yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
there's probably a lot more. This has been an incredibly challenging experience, but those are the top 3 I can think of right now.
Well, I mean, thank you for all the effort that you are putting into it and all the work that you've been putting into it. But I have to agree, like, especially being in a fast-paced environment and at the risk of production and time and money, people don't want to take that risk. But I think with anything, if you take the time to learn it, and it doesn't take that long to learn Circus. I remember actually we chatted like when I was learning it, and you walked me through it. It took max 20 minutes, and I knew how to use the program. And
yeah,
you're constantly having those updates, but they're easy to navigate and find. And it just saves us so much more time. Like practically, it's just way more convenient especially for people in the accounting department or the production office, trying to find somebody or trying to find a file. It's like you just quickly search it up rather than going through binders of.
Yeah, the accountants are they're usually the most nervous people that I encounter, just because they're just so used to stapling and removing staples and scanning and the other. And then when I show them, at first they're just like, "Oh, I have to relearn everything." And then I show them just and they feel like, "Oh my God, you just made my life 1,000 times easier." So once we walk them through it, it's no problem at all. They only have to figure out a couple pages to learn, right? And for crew, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah. So I guess the biggest takeaway is to not feel intimidated, but actually give it a chance to learn and see if it's your thing. And most times it ends up being a lot easier than the way that you've been doing things. And that's the beauty of technology.
Yeah. Well, we've been doing tons of demos across the country for, all different sizes of production, from indie to studio. And, just once people see it, it's just like, oh yeah, this is a no brainer. Of course we have to implement this, right?
Yeah. And what has been the highlight of your journey so far with Circus and just starting the sustainability initiative?
I mean, the Sustainable Production Forum was really fantastic in Vancouver. We did a talk there, and I feel like that's a really great event for everyone to participate in, just because, the tools are out there. So, attend to just learn about it, right? And take the time. That's been a great experience. What else has been a great experience? Let me think on that one. I've come up with a really good answer on that one.
We can come back to it. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure, yeah.
So if I were a production that was starting prep, how would I sign up for Circus and onboard my team? What is required? Who is required to do that?
Right. It's usually the PM or the producer who signs up, and you just go to the website, you click register, and you can register for free. You can onboard up to 5 of your crew members or people from your team for free as well. So if you just want to just go and test it out and just design your own start packs, and just onboard a few people just to get the hang of it, then when you're ready, you can just onboard the rest because your workflow will be designed ready to go. And if you need us to build your start pack, we can do that as well. If you have like a really complicated one, what we do is we just take everyone's start pack and we just match it right in the system, and we digitize everything essentially.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of levels of productions do you work with? So this is only available in Canada, am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's completely customized for Canada. So there
Mm-hmm.
are some start pack solutions in the States, but of course they're focused for the States.
Mm-hmm.
We also designed it per province across the country. So it's good for Canada.
Yeah. And you work with all levels of productions, because I remember seeing on the website you have like ones for like indie films, and then you have.
Yeah. So we are Circus, our MVP, which is sort of in a startup world, we call it minimum viable product. Like, what's the simplest version of your product that you can start getting out into the marketplace right away? And we thought Indie was like, they had the simplest version of a start pack. They didn't require as many residency docs. They didn't require certainly any payroll docs because mostly people were just volunteering. So we started off with Indie and designed a start pack solution that worked for them. And we actually partnered with Crazy Eights to enable all those teams to onboard sustainably. And then we kept on iterating, and we kept on launching features that were more suitable for larger size productions, like the Hallmarks, or what's another good example? I mean, maybe like the 100 or 200 size crew. And then come January, February of this year, we launched all the features that essentially studios needed so that you can onboard, thousands of your crew members, in any different province. So yeah, now we're obviously talking with all the studios, and it's been kind of exciting because they've just been, as opposed to me chasing them, they're now chasing me. like, hey,
That's
we need a solution.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, you're shifting culture and changing the norm, which is like so inspiring to see. And
Yeah.
that's, I'm so glad to like be able to talk to you about it today, because it is the new future. This is what we're looking at. And like, it's, one day we're going to look back and we're going to think all those times we used paper and like not use it anymore.
Well, the future of software and film will most likely be one platform. Like, we see lots of different tools that do different aspects in film. And I think what the future of film is going to look like is we, as a crew member or as someone from the production office, there will be one app where all the data and docs transfer seamlessly from point A to point Z, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be really interesting, and it's going to save people a lot of time and money. That's for sure.
Yeah. That's very interesting point. And like, I can see that happening too. And I think that would be, the best solution as well.
It has to happen. I mean, people are frustrated. Like, when I was a, PM, I just it drove me nuts. I remember when I was I was a PA in a commercial, and I was in the production office, and I had to copy and paste the entire crew list from this Excel document to this Excel document. I was just like, why can't I just preload? Why am I constantly replicating the same data across multiple different workflows? It was such a waste of time. And for an industry that cares deeply about time, you'd think that we would, accelerate our efforts to launch, tools that'll make it go quicker. And that happen to be sustainable too, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so, I mean, kind of touch base on this, but what does the future circus look like? What do you have planned going forward for this?
Well, without talking too much from a product roadmap, because our competitors could be listening, obviously, the first step of any production is you bring all your crew in one place, right? That's circus. Someone signs a contract, boom, they're involved in the production. Then what you can do is anything with them afterwards, right? It's how you communicate with them, how you get them this document and this document. We've been focused on integrations as well lately. So, we just finished our integration with Green Slate, which is a brand new payroll company in Canada. And we're actually the first, start pack to payroll solution. So in order for us to basically provide more cohesive tools all under one banner, integrations are a really great thing for us. And we're actually talking with, other companies like Stephen from Scriptation, who's a good friend of mine. And, we're talking with integration with him, just so, you can integrate script notes into Circus as well. So, there's a lot more exciting things. I wish I can talk about them because I'm really excited about it, but it just, let's connect again once I've
Absolutely.
announced. Okay.
When the time comes, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
really, really looking forward to like seeing all the new things and new features, because I know at Circus, like just using it myself within like the month I was on it, there's like a lot of new updates, and I'm like, this is just getting better and better. Like even just like as my experience as.
Yeah. Well, the
Mhm.
start pack is it's almost infinite, the amount of customizations that people need, but it's essentially done. So
Mhm.
now we're definitely looking at other aspects of film production, and we're looking at what's parallel or what's complementary to the start pack. Like what would you do afterwards, right? So that's what we're looking into right now.
And you kind of mentioned Green Slate already, but I wanted to ask you more about that. So, what exactly is Green Slate, and your partnership with them, and what does it offer?
Yeah, so Green Slate next to EP and Cast and Crew, they're one of I'd say one of the third largest payroll companies in North America. They started off in the States, in the East Coast, and they've been around for 20 years. They've done some incredible projects with some really great technology. So since they're a newer company, they're also built on cutting edge technology, just like us. So they're able to iterate and provide, more seamless tools faster than their competitors can. So we were really excited to integrate with them because it was just it's really easy for two advanced companies to just connect, right, and just send data and doc seamlessly with one another. And it was just natural for us. I mean, they were entering the Canadian marketplace, and we figured we can help out by helping them enter the Canadian marketplace by offering a Canadian Start Pack solution. So it worked out really well.
That's amazing. And you're right, like the payroll department, the accounting department, the production office, it works so much together, and like so many things like documents and information is constantly being transferred and needed.
Hmm.
So, that's such a smart and bold move. And like any producers, PMs listening to this, I think that is something you should definitely look into for your next production is checking out Green Slate and how you can incorporate that and
Hmm.
circus.
They can, if they want to check it out, it's gslate.com. But from our website, we have a link as well. And we can line you up with a demo to talk with them as well. So if they're interested in taking a look, happy to arrange it.
Incredible. So jumping forward a little bit, you posted this article on medium.com
Hmm.
about remote production offices being the new future of the industry. And it was so informative and insightful. And there were so many great different tools in there, different
Hmm.
ideas and concepts. And you mentioned how productions will now have to start following a more indie production model post COVID. And this quote is directly from the article. This is not my words. Indie doesn't just mean low budget, it's an ideology that we'll need to adopt until we can operate at full capacity again. So,
Hmm.
can you talk about what exactly this indie ideology entails and how productions at a larger scale can
Hmm.
follow this?
Yeah, I mean, we've all been through the indie ideology, working on those indie shows, but I especially utilized it on my last feature, which was Hello Destroyer, and we didn't have a huge budget, and but we wanted to maintain our quality. And so what we figured was that we would reduce our team size completely, do it as remote as possible, which would allow our production team to have more time on set, and we would have to coordinate less people and less equipment. So that worked out really well because it was honestly, it was one of the most calmest shoots I've ever done. I mean, we had only 17 crew members, I think, and we also had a day where we had like 2,000 extras, and we had just maybe, I think it was like 8 people managing
Oh,
2,000
wow.
people. Um, I wouldn't recommend that part, but I learned a lot about how to do things remotely. So I implemented things like Slack. Most people in film don't know about Slack, which is baffling to me. But it's a tool to communicate with multiple channels or departments. So you can, in your channels, what you can do is you can, if you have like 20, 30 different channels. It can be camera, casting, art, costumes. And what you can do is throw everyone within that department in that specific channel, right? And then what you can do is share documents and communicate with people within that. And it's not perfect for studios because they need more security, but it's great for indie. And I just, that was one of the tools we implemented. We use Google Sheets a lot. We use Google Drive and Dropbox. And actually, most of what I wrote in that article, we implemented, and it worked really, really well. But productions are now going to have to think about the indie ideology because we have no choice, right? I mean, I think films are unnecessarily bloated anyways. There's far too much happening on a film set, and the days are far too long. And I think this is a good opportunity to rethink the way that we do things, and to just simplify, right? We have to.
I agree completely. And I've been hearing rumors about, possibly we either are starting out, like once we start coming back to work, it'll be shorter days. And is it going to stay
10-hour
with shorter
days?
days? Yeah, like 10-hour days. Yeah.
Crunch hours?
Yeah, like, and people are talking about, well, if we start at 10 hours, the likelihood of it increasing over time, or will it stay at that point? And just like the future of the film industry, because this is kind of an opportunity to like rechange the whole way we've been doing things. Maybe the way we've been doing things, yes, it's worked, but also taking factor like personal health, because that's more important now than ever. And
it's like sustainability is one aspect, of course, but it's kind of funny because like now sustainability is obvious to people. It's like, oh yeah, okay, now we have to go digital. But you're right, health and safety is now the next thing, right? I did a Facebook post and I asked people just like, what would you want to be changed like permanently going forward when we go back to film production? And overwhelmingly it was a lot of like health and safety posts. It was like people complaining about the 10-hour workday, which I love personally, and also other aspects like there was a mother who was just like, we need childcare support. I need to be able to be a mother and work in this industry at the same time, and currently there's no support, which I wholeheartedly agree. Like, why don't we have specific daycare for people who work in the film industry? And why? And I feel like unions should support and provide that, or we should have some sort of we all pay into it somehow. I don't know, but I think that would be a great idea. But the 10-hour workday is incredibly effective because people get to go home sooner. They're less sluggish because when you split the day in half and you stop for an hour to eat, everyone just slows down. You fill your body with like a whole bunch of pasta, and then you try to get back to work and you're just a little bit slower and you can't focus as much. But when you're on set doing French hours, which is just essentially you're working and catering or crafty is continuously bringing food to you to eat while you're working, it's just like you can remain focused and you can get home sooner. There's going to be less accidents on the road because that's happened a lot. I mean, we just need to, we just, it's always been about, just getting it under budget, right? And getting it under budget means sometimes sacrificing the health and safety of the crew, which like has for some reason been the norm in this industry. And I think it just has to stop and change. Right?
Yeah. And maybe this is the time where, change will be upon us. Yeah. And,
we can't go back.
I even like coming back to like remote offices, like I know even with like the job I have, it's very like a lot of it, like half of my job can be done remotely. I just show up to work at a desk because it's just kind of like that's the norm. But yeah, like even that, like going forward, maybe producers start to recognize more that certain jobs can be done remotely. And even during this time, during quarantine, a lot of people have been, because I mean, we're all using Zoom more than ever. Virtual writing rooms, like meetings, it's all happening virtually. We don't need to fly out because I've seen so many times, I've witnessed people fly out for meetings and then they're gone 2 days later, and it's like unnecessary and
ridiculous. But like, it's good that people are getting accustomed to Zoom. So doing at least the meetings, right? But, like I mentioned earlier, there are people in the production office, some of the older generation who are scared because they just don't understand these tools. They haven't had any training in it, but now's the time, right? We have the time to open up everything and just figure out what precisely will work for our workflows and implement them,
Mm-hmm. How do you think, like, just like, I mean, you don't even have to answer this, but your thoughts of how this will impact crew members and productions, like, budget wise, or just like the way that the
Mm.
industry's been, like, if we were to embrace this new, which I feel like we will be, but do you think there will be any negative impacts to this new
Mm.
model?
I mean, I can't speak for the unions, although I'm assuming there's going to be changes there. I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
for example, like the 10-hour workday is not normal for any of the unions, although it's very
Yeah.
normal in Europe to do that, to go off of that workflow. Um, yeah, so I think crew will generally be happier. Who it's going to affect is the above the line and the studios.
Mm-hmm.
It could be um, depending on the way. I mean, for COVID related reasons, it's going to be more expensive because we have to quarantine. We put people up in the hotels.
Mm-hmm.
Post COVID, if we keep implementing the indie ideology, it will probably be cheaper productions. Honestly, if we use the tools to make our productions more efficient,
Mm-hmm.
and we stick to 10-hour work days, then it'll obviously be cheaper, for productions. So yeah, budgets will
Yeah.
probably go down because of that as well.
That's actually a really good point. It's like, because that was the first thought that came to my mind too, is like with the 10-hour days, like that sounds really great, but again, it's going to take us probably longer to shoot the same amount of scenes or the amount of work than it would have if we were having 15-hour days.
Hmm.
But you're right, we'll be saving budget. Whereas like on one side it'll increase the budget, but on the other side, if we adopt to a more sustainable remote model, we save money, we save
Hmm.
efficiency. And so, yeah, you're right. It balances out. I can see.
Yeah, I certainly like the idea of having smaller crews. I mean, I understand that there are some roles that need a lot of support, but I also like when people just wear multiple hats. I
Hmm.
sometimes it gets really tough. I've certainly worn multiple hats on a lot of my indies, and it's overwhelming and it's exhausting. But there are certainly some roles that can be combined into one. To save some costs and to have less people on set.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this has been super informative, but did you
Mhm.
want to come back to that highlight?
Building circus has been tough. Like we've been we've climbed a mountain and we're still climbing a mountain, right? It was still like difficult. It was a challenge to get it implemented to get us this far.
Hmm.
Um, so maybe the highlight I'd say is just like I feel a sense of accomplishment that you know we've built something that no one has able to do yet. I
Hmm.
mean, I had it told me like I've been wanting to do this. I started building this and like I couldn't get it off the ground. And I've spoken to at least a dozen people who tried to do what we've done, and
Yeah.
they just couldn't do it. Probably mainly because the technology wasn't there yet. It might have just been the perfect timing to actually launch Circus. But I feel a sense of accomplishment that like we were the first to do it, and we have the best platform. So
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. Um, Another great moment was doing Crazy Eights. Like I really love the indie community, obviously, because I come from there, and I really love supporting the indie community. And some of the highlights have been the screenings where we're just sitting there and we're just, I know everybody because we onboard all the casting
Hmm.
crew onto the productions, and it's just a really exciting moment to feel that our
Sense of
technology,
community. And
yeah, that we help this community. So yeah, that's been a great moment, and we continue to support Crazy Eight. So I'm excited for more of those kind of moments.
amazing. I admire that so much, and I admire you so much. And I think
Oh,
like even
thanks.
I even like working on a production and seeing like the start packs, like, just like witnessing the amount of paper. And it's so, I
Yeah.
actually have a funny story because we don't have circus on. I've been name dropping it quite a bit on the show.
Thanks. Give me
But
a
I'm
cut.
hoping this, I mean, even this episode, your articles, like hopefully, especially like post COVID, like more productions that start embracing this new idea, and like, this whole like training themselves. I think that's, if that's holding them back, that's the only thing. It's like with anything, if you learn it, if you invest the time, like it's going to save you so much down the road. Even that was my conversation with Steve from Scriptation, is like, yeah, it seems daunting at first, but if you learn it, like down the road, it's saving you so much more time. You can go home with your families. And
any software is always daunting to learn. I mean, opening Photoshop is like, whoa, what does anything do? But then once you start getting the hang of it, just go, right? So
like second nature.
Yeah, you just figure it out. I mean, people have figured out how to use all the other tools within the film industry. So, this one's the easiest to learn.
Yeah. So I wanted to end the show with a rapid questionnaire. I always do this with my guests. So I'll ask you 5 questions, and you answer the first thing that comes to mind in 1 to 5 words. So don't think too hard, but if you go into story, I'm okay with that.
Okay, I'll try doing one word maybe.
All right. Go. Okay, so first one's, what is one environmental pledge you have taken on?
Paperless.
Let me see. If you had to give one piece of advice to someone wanting to reduce their environmental impact, what would that be?
Go with paper star packs. Do you want me to do non-circus related answers?
It's up to you. Whatever.
For a non-circus related answer, get rid of the water bottles on set. Nothing drives me nuts more. I'll make this into a tiny story, but one production, I just ended up buying those metal water bottles for everybody on set. I put a masking tape on it. I had their name on it, and I had a Kanban like that they could stick it to their belt or their toolkit or whatever. And everyone kept them throughout the show, and there was no plastic bottles. There's no reason we should have plastic bottles on set.
Yeah, I agree completely. And with like the show that I'm on, we gave everybody a lunch container. So because I was thinking about the water bottles, I'm like, a lot of productions have been doing that, and it's like, is it really sustainable to give another water bottle for this show, right? I'm sure everyone has a drawer full of them at this point. So we did a container so that you don't have to use the disposable plates at catering. And it's just like so much, like it's like easier, it's better, you're saving so much, you feel good.
It's what's that little it's like it comes in different layers. What's it called?
Like a bento box or tiffin or
Tiffins are fantastic. There was like a whole bunch of camera guys who started that on a show. They went to, actually, if you go to Granville Island, there should be a place where you can get a tiffin there. You can just buy one and just bring it to set, go home, wash it, bring it to set, fill up the different containers. It's easy, right?
Yeah, I know. And we had such a positive response from crew members, and they're like, oh, we're bringing your own cutlery as well, because like we didn't include the cutlery, but it's such an easy little thing that you could take on. You save so much. So the next one is, what is one thing you do for self-care? Coming back to mental health, take care of yourself.
I will, I'll go biking around the park. I'll just rip around a couple times and listen to some music and go biking. And just not think about circus and just zone out essentially. I like to play soccer too, but for my mental health, that's probably the best thing for me.
Yeah, moving your body, getting fresh air, and like tuning out the world. Yeah, I love that.
People in the film industry I feel like there's a lot of people I know that don't do it enough. I'm certainly guilty of that. It's just because we're just trained to work. We're trained to work 14-hour days, and hopefully that 100%. Changes too.
100%. That's why, like on this podcast too, I try to bring that up quite a bit throughout no matter what the topic is, no matter what, even if it's like about a software company, it's like, well, let's not neglect the other side of it, the wellness side, because if we're talking about sustaining the planet, but we're not taking care of ourselves and others, like what is the point at the end of the day? So so that's really important. That's really good. And then the next one is, what is one thing you want to be known for?
Oh, I mean, when I was making films, like I really wanted to be, known for making like a really, really cool indie. I guess now it's changed. Now I'd like to be known for someone that connected the industry together.
I love that.
Through technology, right?
I love that. That's very inspiring. Okay, the last one is, if you could change one thing in the world, what would that be?
Oh, there's a lot, especially with what's going on now. Free education. for everyone in the world. And that would even probably include free internet for accessible to everyone on the planet. I think with free education, it's harder to be racist. If you have more empathy, it gives more opportunity. And obviously with what's going on with Starlink, with that chain of satellites going around, that'll provide internet to places around the world that don't have access to to information, which is just crucial. So I think education, I'd love it to be a normal thing for people to get for free.
That's great. Solid,
Yeah.
solid answer.
Thank
Thank
you.
you again. If
Thanks for your
someone
time. Thanks for
wanted
doing
to,
this.
yeah, if someone wanted to learn more about Circus or connect with you, how can they find you?
Oh, it's circushr.com, and they can just click that contact bubble in the bottom right, or they can email us from the website, and we can set up a demo and chat with you about that, or whatever else you want to chat about.
Amazing. You're so great. So,
Yeah.
lastly, each show I leave with a weekly recommendation. This week, I want to encourage everyone listening to check out the Black Lives Matter movement. And you can go to
Yes.
the link blacklivesmatter.car.co. So, it's .carrd.co to find resources and links on how to help and where to donate and petitions to sign. The Sustainable Act wants all our listeners to show extra love and support to our Black brothers and sisters. And thank you, Daniel. Great chatting
Yes.
with you.
Yes.
And
Thank you so much.
thank you for everyone listening. I'll see you next week.
Much love. Chat later.